Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to a big Wednesday edition of the Altcoin Bible. Today, I'm looking at QANT, Zcash, and METIZ, not in that order, but some very exciting cryptos that are doing interesting things on the charts. I'm going to crack in straight away. Now, I'll just preface what I'm showing you today. We're leading into the CPI figures, which will be released in the US over the next 48 hours. So we expect market volatility here in Bitcoin, Ethereum, and traditional markets. So obviously that will roll downhill into altcoins. So just be prepared with what you're seeing here is obviously subject to volatility within that next 48 hours. And I am expecting my thesis is a bit more of a bearish bias. It's been seen every single time we've moved into CPI figures. We've seen a bit of a sell-off in those bigger markets, in Bitcoin, in Ethereum. So just be prepared that we are going to have a bit of a drawdown across the board. But as we have seen, some altcoins do weather the storm better, and some altcoins just buck the trend and do what they're doing because of other fundamental reasons. So let's dive into the charts. And I'm going to start with, along the same theme, I'm going to look at my danger zone. So it's a very popular layer 2 token called METIZ. We've been following for a little while, and why I wanted to show you it rather is that it's had a really impressive run up since this low of about $14 when we had that big crash in Bitcoin. It's now up 250% over the last couple of months. So that is a tremendous return on investment if you got in at these low levels. And what it's been doing is pretty much this beautiful positive uptrend. So these series of higher lows. So you see this low here, you've got a higher low here, another higher low, and we're riding on top of these moving averages. As you can see, it's gotten back on top, it's used them as support, and it's riding them higher. So with those higher lows coming to fruition, we're also seeing higher highs come as well. And that's what you want to see in a positive uptrend. So you've got a high here, then the next high is higher than the last, it's a higher high, then we've got another higher high up here. Now, what METIZ is doing, which we should be a little bit concerned about, just in the short term, I think METIZ has got tremendous upside in the mid to long term, but nothing goes up forever. And it hasn't been going up in a straight line, but it has been a nice positive move, and it's starting to run out of gas, is what I'm saying. So you can see it's up in this channel here, and we've just been riding the top of it, and right now we're finding a confluence of resistance, and that's at around about $48, so give or take $50, let's say. And that is some serious resistance. We saw it came back down here on its previous run up and ran straight into it. So it's finding that resistance underneath this line, and I expect a pullback now from METIZ down to these sort of levels, and I've just marked them on the charts, mainly as well because I'm seeing that bull momentum start to trail off, and we've now broken this RSI trend to the downside. You can see we're just snaking under it. So that tells me we want to just pull back, find a bit of liquidity lower, so meaning more buyers lower for a bit of fuel to reload higher. It's just whether how deep that cutback is. I can't really see us breaking this $47 resistance right now. I do think we do need to go lower, and especially with the CPI figures, just more hedged on that bearish side. But if you're looking to accumulate more METIZ on the way up, these are the areas that I think you're going to find some serious value. So $36, why there? Well, it's where the 21 moving average is. And generally, if you see in uptrends, we really like to come back and test it and bounce off it if we're going to go higher. So that is a really strong area where you can buy at about $36. So 42 now, so that's a nice little haircut on price. Find some value, about 15% drawdown. Now, we can go to these lower levels, but it would take something significant for us to drop down there if this trend is to continue. So just be wary of that. We have to break through this channel here, so this uptrend, which is definitely possible. Then I think this next level is certainly a possibility, about $28, which is the ceiling of this previous bottom range area, which we moved through and we broke out of. It's also in line with the Fibonacci retracement tool, which we just draw across there. It's around about the 0.618. So 28, that's going to be a really strong level. 0.618, also that ceiling of the range. So I do think we come down to that point, and then a massive pullback area is around about that $21 on this huge volume support here on the 0.786. So just be looking out for those levels. You can have orders set, of course, but it has to be within your main investment thesis as well. So just if I'm going to draw this visually, this is something I expect to see, something like that, or we come down a bit lower and dig through and just come up here. So my main sell area for some of these buys would be around about that $66 area. Why there? Well, it was a previous area of serious resistance that we came up against. Also, you can see here we've just tapped onto it twice, but mainly it's because you can see this red line here. That's a big moving average. That's the 200 daily moving average. And by the time we get back up into this region, I expect the 200 moving average to just snake its way to be confluent with this horizontal here at around about $66. So these are very strong areas to buy, especially with the narrative of Ethereum merge coming. I think it's a really strong area to buy and move up. So while this is a danger zone, I can certainly see some serious positives in the mid to long-term play there. So $66, definitely a sell area. And then the next horizontal's up around about, I'd look, it's $113 here, but I would expect $100 to provide some pretty serious psychological resistance on the charts. All right, let's move over to Quant. This is my cherry ripe. Like what I'm seeing generally from Quant. Now, it's not going to keep going up here, and that's what I want to emphasize, that when I look at my cherry ripe and one to watch, I'm going to pick facets of it that I like and don't like, and I just want to highlight that just for everyone's education and to help you on your journey as well. What we've seen from Quant really is a significant positive uptrend with a lot of momentum higher. So you've got the low here, you've got a higher low, and now we're moving in to create another higher high. So high, 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 high. This to me, and why this is my cherry ripe, is because it has broken this serious volume resistance on the right-hand side. And I'll just zoom in a bit more so we can see. Broken this serious volume and horizontal area over here, and it is significant. You can see we're chopping over here on top of it, then broke down. We've breached back above it, and over here, look, that is really serious resistance. I'm really positive on Quant, and I'm bullish on Quant, as long as it can remain above this white horizontal line. So as long as it's there, I expect it to come up here to about $157 because it is the top of the range. It's over here on the left-hand side, top, over that area. And importantly as well, we're on top of the key moving averages. They're much lower. That all looks good to me. It looks like the RSI made a bit of a high over here. It's had a nice pullback. It's having a bounce. It's gaining momentum. And this looks like it wants to bounce and go higher again for maybe a short-term top up here about 157. I think that's definitely on the cards. But in the meantime, we have to look for a short-term pullback, I believe, and I really want to see us confirm this resistance now as support. So this should come down here, some type like that, I expect, but it could go a little bit deeper down to the 21 moving average, as you can see, and as we highlighted on our last chart, it comes back down to the 21 moving average just to test it on these uptrends to create a higher low down here and then create a higher high. So if this trend is continued, that's what you would likely to see, and I really like $115 as that next movement down. So we're at 121, that would be the horizontal. Then we can look lower at 106, which is more in line with the 21 moving average. Then 98 is in line with the 200 moving average. Now, if you break the 200, then I really think the structure of what's happening here has changed, and you have to look to the downside after that. It's no longer looking quite bullish. Also, as well, if we just draw a Fibonacci retracement, you can see here, if we bounce right here, the 0.236, and we did get bought up heavily on this little previous candle here, if we bounce here, then we're going straight to 157 quite quickly. But I do expect us to pull back to retest these levels. But these Fibonacci retracement levels are super useful when a crypto is an uptrend to just see the mathematical levels where price will gravitate towards. So if you see, let's say, a 200 moving average confluent with a 0.618, that's super strong. If you see a 0.786 confluent with a 50 or a 200, super strong again. Horizontals with a Fibonacci, with a moving average, they're going to be really, really hard to crack unless there's a black swan, or if you're in a significant bear market in that crypto. And you just have to be wary because we are still in a bear market. So some of these will fall through. And my bias on a lot of these altcoins is to be short, very short term with our thinking. So if it's moving up in this positive uptrend, my thinking is it gets to 157 or close, and then it probably peters out and stops from that point, starts a consolidation sideways for a while. So in a bull market, that just continues. So we have the higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, and maybe a short-term consolidation before moving up. But the continuation is always with the trend, which would be bullish. But right now we're in a bearish frame of mind. So just keep that front and center when you're trading maybe these altcoins on a shorter term basis. If you're looking to accumulate, these areas are great. Always look towards the moving averages and key horizontal support. So I think I've just covered everything there, but that's my cherry ripe. I think it's going to have an up thrust pretty soon once it has a pullback. All right, Zcash, one to watch. Look, it's pretty similar to Quant, but it has some key differences, which I do want to highlight, and why it's not, say, a cherry ripe, and why it's a one to watch for me. Zcash looks really, really good coming out of this bottom area. So you can clearly see it's in this range. It's been tight for a while. Now, since the low, it's up about 65%. So that's really, really nice. But what Zcash is doing, while this trend looks really positive in terms of these higher lows moving and higher highs going forward, is it's running into a key horizontal, and it is absolutely crucial. You can see how important it is over here. Bounce, bounce, bounce. And if you go back, yeah, even further, bounce, 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 support, resistance, and then support, 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 support. So we're running into it again. And as long as it's underneath, your bias has to be bearish that we're going to have a bit of a pullback after such a nice run up. Now, the positives are that we're on top of those moving averages. We've been moving through some key levels. We're on top of the volume over on the right-hand side here. The RSI does look good. You can see the channel we're moving up in, again, higher lows and higher highs. However, this here does look like it just wants to pull back. Momentum should start to loosen. And, you know, we could see a deeper pullback or a short. I'm more thinking we see a shorter one, just because we have so much support now underneath us, that I do think that, say, $70 here at this horizontal Y, see Wicks, that used to be a really strong short-term point of resistance. Now it's support, so about $70. So we're at 78 now. It's really not much of a pullback, but those are the sort of levels which you want to target if you're looking to capture the upside. So 11%. And then $64 down here on this key volume support. So I am expecting, as I've written here, short-term consolidation before an up thrust. Look for those fib pullbacks. If we maybe have a look here, yeah, confluent with some of these levels that I've already drawn. And shorter term, if you go from here, you just see there that you can start to layer in bids at some of these levels if you're really confident that Zcash is going higher. But once it does break this level, and if it comes back down and tests these areas and breaks through here, so let's just draw that out. So let's say it comes back here, does what I've just outlined there, breaks through, comes up to, say, the 200 daily moving average. That will be heavy resistance. So at about 106, this likely just snakes down a little bit, comes around at 106, 105. But let's say 100 to 105 is going to be that key resistance area, because we always see psychological resistance around those whole numbers, 100, 200, 300, all that. It's a bit silly, but it's how traders sometimes operate. They want to get in front of resistances, use a psychological support, psychological resistance to have a sell order. So these are the sell points you want to see. And then we have a more midterm move higher, and that's 131. That's a key horizontal because it was previously used as support resistance, and it's running into this huge volume area up here. So 131. Again, your bias should probably be more on the short-term bearish side. Short-term bullish, and then moving into a more bearish phase. So any pumps will be sold into. So just keep that in mind. Once it gets, say, down to these levels, this RSI should recharge and then move high. If it doesn't, if it breaks, say, this line here and looks a bit weak around these areas, then it wants to figure out what's going on down here. It wants to just move through these areas a bit more. But we want to see this key horizontal here. We want to see it break through, maybe run into the 200, come back down, test it as that support, and then you can reach these higher levels. So that's my one to watch. Guys, I hope you've enjoyed this episode. With those buy and sell levels, we'll add them in each week for you. So you know my thinking with how we're looking, and we can dive in a bit deeper and really flesh things out. So I wish you a wonderful Wednesday. Hope you have a great day, and we'll catch you later in the week. Bye.